Good morning, everyone. Welcome to Compliance Over Coffee. Hope you had a fantastic bank holiday weekend, and I hope that the sun shined a little bit on you, regardless of where you are. This morning, I want to talk to you about taking high fees up front and some things that you need to consider and think carefully about before you start taking full sourcing fees up front. And the fact is this, that whatever fee you take up front and then decide isn't refundable, should there be a complaint, you have to be able to prove that the level of work that you carried out was sufficient to warrant that fee being taken and kept. Otherwise, and it has been known, substantial amounts of it will be refunded upon complaint to certainly redress schemes, should it go that far. And you need to think about this. Whilst it may be taught that taking the full fee up front stops people from doing you out of being paid, the better way of working is to build relationships with good quality investors. And that takes time. It isn't money in the bank overnight. So my suggestion is that rather than taking full sourcing fees up front, that you actually take the time to build your business, build the foundations, and build the relationship with decent investors. And you only need one or two to be able to work with at any given time for starting out with. So don't fret about having 30, 40, 50, 60, 100 in a list. It means nothing unless they're buying from you, and the bulk of them won't do. So build the decent relationships with the investors that are actually going to pay, but make sure that you have your investor secured on agreement, on contract. Just make sure that you have that. And bear in mind, any fee that you want to take up front, and we do take a fee up front, but it isn't a sourcing fee, we call it a registration fee. And it's a small fee, just really to get rid of the tire kickers. And you'd be surprised how much a couple of £100 stops people from wanting to pay and work with you just because of that. And yet, in the opposite scale, you'll get people paying £3, £4, £5, £6, £7, £10,000 up front for rent-to-rent deals, and then having to go and complain to the ombudsman because they can't get the cash back. So bear in mind, do you really need to take a fee up front? Have you made it incredibly clear in your terms of business agreement if it's refundable? If it isn't refundable and it's many thousands of pounds, you're going to restrict how many people will work with you, especially going forward. So that's something to carefully think about. Also think about whether it's a part of the sourcing fee or whether it's a registration fee that you're taking as a one-off. Are you going to do this on every deal? If you're taking it and it is refundable and you state that it is, then of course you have to go into the realms of client account and client account insurance, of which at the moment are difficult to acquire. And so you need to think carefully about that as well. But how much are you going to take? How much do you really need to cover the level of work that you do to find the deal? Because you're going to have to justify it. And not just say it states in my terms of business agreement that if you don't buy the deal, I'm entitled to £2,000. Work out what you've done. And not only work out what you've done, but have the ability to be able to prove the work that you have done. So you're going to have to document what you do. And if you're going to say it's because I'm going out on Saturdays and Sundays and viewing 10 properties a day for this buyer, and I'm doing these checks and I'm downloading this and I'm doing those checks, hand on heart, if you were the one that were paying, would you say that the level of work that you then have in front of you is worth whatever you are saying you're entitled to keep if a deal goes south? Let's face it, if you sign up with an accountant or a solicitor or most other trades, they won't give you all of the money up front. They just won't. Why would you? Would you pay a plumber completely up front to come and do some plumbing work on your house? Possibly not. Would you pay a small amount as a part of the overall fee? Maybe. But bear in mind, you have got to warrant how much you're taking and that the value that you have given to date, even if the deal falls over, warrants that level of cash take home. So something for you to think about taking fees up front, how much you take, and please, please be very, very clear as to whether it is refundable, and if so, under what circumstances, and where it's going to be held, because you really have to hold it in a client account under those circumstances. And if not, then you're going to have to warrant that level of payment being held, the level of work that you've carried out, but be able to prove it for showing what work you have done. Because if it goes to complaint, they expect evidence of work carried out that fulfills that level of payment and payment held. So that's compliance over coffee for this morning. Thank you for joining me. I'll be back with you again on Thursday morning for more stuff around compliance and sourcing. So I look forward to seeing you then. In the meantime, have a fantastic Tuesday and Wednesday. Bye for now.